Exercise A. Meaning from context. Page 152. 1.
You're going to the gym again? You're addicted to exercise.
I know, but it's a good way to release the stress I feel after a day at work.
2.
Are the drugs your doctor gave you helping with your headaches?
Yes, they are. I get relief from pain very quickly.
3.
Professor Wu, how long does it take to heal after an injury to the knee?
It depends on the injury, but it often takes a couple of weeks.
4.
Do you think this tea from the health food store will make me feel better?
It may not help you, but it's probably harmless. You should check with your doctor.
That makes sense. I'll call the doctor tomorrow.
5.
George's father and uncle both have heart disease. Is that a coincidence?
I don't think so. I think there's a family history of heart conditions.
6.
It's been widely reported online that this drug can cure cancer. That's nonsense.
I know. This really highlights the need to provide better information to patients.
Listening. The placebo effect. Exercise B. Main ideas. And Exercise C. Details. Page 154.
Welcome to the program. My name is Walter Stamos, and my guest today is Dr. Jessica Marlin. She's here to talk with us about the placebo effect. So, to get started, what exactly is a placebo?
Well, a placebo is a treatment that contains no real medicine, but when we give it to a patient suffering from pain or disease, the patient reports an improvement. That's the placebo effect. Let me illustrate this with an example of a patient I saw last winter. This woman, let's call her Audrey, fell on some ice outside her home. She broke her ankle, injured her hands and wrists, and experienced cuts to her face. As you can imagine, Audrey was in a lot of pain. I didn't want to give her painkillers, real drugs. You see, people can become addicted to those, and they can have negative side effects. So I tried a different approach. I invited Audrey to take part in some research into a new medicine. In reality, what she received was a placebo, nothing more than harmless ingredients like sugar. But here's the amazing thing. Audrey started taking the placebo on Friday evening, and by Saturday morning she was reporting much less pain. We told her she could ask for more medicine if she needed it, and at that point we were prepared to give her drugs. But she never asked.
So what you're saying is that because Audrey thought she was taking a new medicine, she felt better, even though she was only taking a placebo?
Exactly. This is what we call the placebo effect. It has to do with positive thinking. She probably felt less pain because her mind convinced her body that the medicine was working.
That is fascinating. Is this a new approach?
Not at all. Placebos have been around for a long time, but they only really became widely used in the 1960s. At that time, in order to test new medicines before they received government approval, some patients were given the new medicine and others were given a placebo. Patients were not told which version they were taking. Surprisingly, some patients who were given a placebo also reported an improvement in their condition.
How did that work? What's the science behind it?
A scientific explanation is that if a patient believes they've taken a real medicine, their brain might release certain chemicals. These include chemicals called endorphins. Endorphins are natural substances produced by the brain. They have the effect of reducing pain and improving a patient's mood.
Makes sense to me.
But keep in mind that not all scientists actually believe in the placebo effect. Some think any improvement could just be a coincidence, and might be the result of normal variations in the amount of pain a disease or injury causes.
You've talked a lot about pain relief, but do placebos work for all medical conditions?
That's a great question. We're learning more about placebos every day. Research has shown that placebos can reduce symptoms of some diseases and can reduce pain.
Some of our listeners might be wondering, is it fair to tell patients they're receiving an amazing new medicine when really all they're getting is sugar?
Yeah, great question, and that's something that has been raised in the research community. Today, doctors typically ask patients to sign a form giving permission for the use of any medicine the doctor considers suitable. So patients may not know exactly when they are getting a placebo, but they know it might be part of their treatment. But I think the important question here is whether it's right to give patients placebos, basically candy, when a proper medicine is available. I think maybe when researchers are testing new medicines, they should give one group the new medicine and the other group the existing medicine. That way, all patients receive something. There have been studies where patients knew they were taking a placebo, but they still reported improvements in their health. Even the simple act of taking the placebo convinced them they were feeling better. I think this tells us a lot about the power of the brain.
The power of positive thinking.
Absolutely. And for me, this highlights the importance of the brain in the healing process.
One final question, Jessica. What do you think researchers have learned by using placebos?
You know, I think we've learned that the brain has a role to play in patient well-being. Treatments that use the power of the brain are appropriate in certain situations. I think we need a lot more research.
That sounds like a step in the right direction. My guest today has been Dr. Jessica Marlin. Thanks very much for being with us.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Exercise D, page 155. 1.
Well, a placebo is a treatment that contains no real medicine, but when we give it to a patient suffering from pain or disease, the patient reports an improvement.
2.
I didn't want to give her painkillers, real drugs. You see, people can become addicted to those, and they can have negative side effects.
3.
Placebos have been around for a long time, but they only really became widely used in the 1960s.
4.
But I think the important question here is whether it's right to give patients placebos, basically candy, when a proper medicine is available.
5.
You know, I think we've learned that the brain has a role to play in patient well-being.
Pronunciation. Linking vowel sounds with y and w. Page 155.
When words that end in e or I are followed by words that begin with a vowel sound, you may hear the words linked together with a y sound. We always sounds like we always. I am sounds like I am. When words that end in o and oo are followed by words that begin with a vowel sound, you may hear the words linked together with a w sound. So easy sounds like so easy. Who is sounds like who is.
Exercise E, page 155.
1. I asked my professor to give me advice on applying to medical school.
2. The exam was too easy. I expect we all passed.
3. We are planning to go on vacation, even though I ought to be in the office.
4. Don't be upset. Joe is only trying to avoid an accident.
5. If you use glue on your project, it's really important to wash your hands afterwards.
6. You, Lee, approached me about a very interesting job, but I assume I'm too inexperienced.
Exercise C, page 157. Felicia's hospital doctor.
I'm a doctor at Central Hospital, and I'm treating Felicia. I understand that Felicia is in pain, but I don't want to give her painkillers. In my 20 years as a doctor, I've seen too many healthy young people become addicted to them. That's not a risk I'm prepared to take. I would like to try a placebo. It won't harm her, and it might make her feel better.
Felicia's family doctor.
I'm Felicia's family doctor. I've known her since she was a small child. The placebo effect? Nonsense. I read a study just the other day in a medical journal. It made a clear argument that any sense of improvement is just a coincidence. I would argue strongly in favor of giving this young woman the pain medicine she needs. She will be free of pain, and she can go back to school and get on with her life.
Felicia's parents.
I'm Felicia's mom. Her father and I hate to see our daughter in so much pain. We have heard the arguments from both doctors, and we can see both sides. We're not experts in pain management. I think we have to trust an expert. But which one?
Felicia's sister.
I'm Felicia's older sister. I don't know much about medicine, but I do know a lot about Felicia. She hates taking any kind of medicine. Are there any natural treatments she can have? Something like breathing exercises that can make her feel more relaxed?
Exercise A, page 159.
Grandmother knows best. When you need to cure a minor illness or injury, the best person to ask for advice may be your grandmother. Here are some of grandmother's favorite remedies. The best part? Most of the items are already in your kitchen. 1. If you have a cold or a cough, cut up some ginger and make some tea. 2. If a bee stings you, cut an onion in half and rub it on the sting. The pain will disappear. 3. If you cut your finger, rub a potato on the injury. It will soon heal. 4. If you are bitten by a mosquito, hold half a lime over a candle until it is slightly burned. Rub the burned part on the bite. 5. If you sneeze a lot in the summer, eat a spoonful of honey. You'll find it helpful. 6. If you're concerned about how you smell, add some tomato juice to your bath water. 7. If you have a stomachache, cover some popcorn with boiling water and let it stand. Eat a teaspoon of the soup every 15 minutes. 8. If you have hiccups, try eating a spoonful of sugar.
Exercise A, model, and Exercise B, analyze the model. Page 160.
Hi everyone, I'm Ava, and I want to talk to you about positive thinking. First, I'm going to give you a definition of positive thinking. Then I'll tell you 3 things you can do to practice positive thinking. Okay, let's start with the definition. Positive thinking means you approach negative things in your life in a positive way. If you want to practice positive thinking, there are 3 things you can do every day. The first thing is to make the most of a bad situation. There's a saying in English, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. In other words, when you get something you don't want, try to make something good from the situation. Let me give you an example. Last year, I was planning to take a course in advanced mathematics. But when I went to sign up for the course, it was full. I was frustrated. But then I decided this would be a good opportunity to take something completely different. I signed up for a course in beginner's Italian. It was a fun course, and I learned something new. The second thing is to try positive self-talk. Instead of telling yourself, I can't do this assignment, tell yourself, this assignment is challenging, but I'll learn a lot. Don't say, I'm not good at this. Say, I'm getting better all the time. You know, this really makes a difference. I had a friend who kept telling herself, I'm not good at languages. I'll never speak English well. She watched a video about positive thinking, and after that, instead of saying, I'll never be good at English, she told herself, every day I'm learning a little more. You know what? She developed confidence, learned a lot, and started to love English. Okay, the third and last thing to try is being nice to other people. When we meet someone who seems to be in a bad mood, we don't want to be nice to that person, right? We might think, wow, what a miserable person. Well, last week, I was in the college coffee shop. There was a young woman, also a student, working there. I ordered a sandwich. She didn't say hello, didn't smile, didn't say anything. Instead of just paying for my sandwich and walking away, I decided to tell her what a nice sandwich she had made for me. She smiled shyly and said thanks. She ended up coming by my table during her break and we chatted. We realized that we had been in the same first grade class. She wasn't in a bad mood, just very shy. So, to sum up, here are 3 things you can do to think positively. First, make the best of a bad situation. Second, practice positive self-talk. And third, be nice to people, even if they seem unfriendly. Does anyone have any questions?